This is the carbon cycle video, and I'm going to take you through how the atmosphere, biosphere, hydrosphere, and geosphere interact with each other through the carbon cycle. So to begin with, we'll get a basic definition of the carbon cycle. I have some pre-written notes. So the movement/transfer of carbon throughout the atmosphere, biosphere, hydrosphere, and geosphere. So first we can talk about the atmosphere. So the atmosphere. Carbon exists in two main forms, and those forms are carbon dioxide, which is the main form, and methane. So animal and plant respiration puts carbon into the atmosphere. And an example of this is exhaling. So whenever we breathe out, that is putting carbon into the atmosphere. Next, we have the biosphere. So, in the terrestrial biosphere, carbon is found in living and non-living organisms. There's carbon in soil, and so when looking at the amount in living and non-living organisms and the amount in soil, there's 3 times more in soil. And so carbon is able to leave through the respiration of organic carbon. And in the ocean, it is exported through rivers, or it is exported into the ocean through rivers. And so basically the dirt or soil erodes into the rivers, and the rivers wash it into the ocean, and this can take thousands of years for the carbon to be exported this way. Plants use carbon from the atmosphere to make the building blocks of food during photosynthesis. So this ties into how the atmosphere and the biosphere interact, because the plants pull the carbon from the atmosphere and use it in the biosphere, where they are located, to make their food. Next, we have the geosphere. So the geosphere holds most of the Earth's carbon, and it is located specifically in the lithosphere, which is a subsection of the geosphere. And much of it has been in the mantle since Earth was formed, which is a really, really, really long time. So organic carbon that is stored here can be stored for millions of years, which is an example of it being stored since the Earth was made, because it was hundreds of millions of years ago. And carbon is released in this aspect through volcanoes, as well as human release through extracting fossil fuels. So moving to the hydrosphere, carbon is found in the oceans, and in the deeper levels of the ocean, carbon is stored for up to centuries. And in the shallower layers, carbon is exchanged into the atmosphere fairly quickly due to a larger volume of water and carbon in that area. And here's some interesting stuff about human interaction with the carbon cycle. So nature absorbs about 788 billion tons of carbon per year, and it balances natural emission of carbon. So like breathing, any respiration, or just volcanic eruptions or anything of that type. But human interaction interrupts this, and about half of human carbon dioxide emissions remain in the air. And here is a chart describing that. So here's the fossil fuels burning, 23 billion tons going into the air. But we see here vegetation and land emits 444 billion tons, but brings in 450 tons. So they're bringing in more than they're emitting, which is better for the environment. And then the ocean is bringing in 6 billion tons more than it's emitting as well. So the thing here, so 6 and 6 is 12, obviously. and 23, so there are 11 billion tons extra of fossil fuels going into the air each year, or of CO2 going into the air each year. So we can see through all of these notes that are not very well written, but we can see how the carbon cycle goes through the atmosphere, biosphere, geosphere, and hydrosphere, and how they work together to allow the carbon cycle to move around.